As you can see, it is very early in the morning, and I've been up for a while, but I have not gotten to my to my housework yet. I was waiting for my husband to wake up, but now that he's up, I will be going and doing that. But I wanted to let you know that I was so blessed reading all of the comments that people had sent me, especially the one about the animals, because you never know if people are lovers or not. I have been so fortunate because animals are so unconditional in their caring and loving for you. It's a wonderful thing to have. And I enjoyed your stories and I appreciate them. And I thank you for sending them to me. I don't always get to read them, be honest with you. I get so busy sometimes and then I get tired and then I have things that I have to do and I have all my notes that I write on constantly. And and because some of those notes will all be turned into books. So it's like writing my books. But, you know, we are so fortunate. We have so many things in life. You know, I had an illustration of a book, a children's book that the Lord had given me, and part of it was about this little boy who was sitting on a beautiful hillside looking down a valley, and he was sitting under a tree, and beside him was one of the most beautiful, colorful horses that you ever want to see. And he's laying there under that tree, very sad. And God comes to him and speaks to him and says to him, "Why are you sad?" And he says, "Because I don't have anything. I don't own anything. I just absolutely have nothing." And the Lord says to him, "Look at your horse and see how beautiful it is and how much I blessed you with such a magnificent horse. Look at your hillside of which you can enjoy. Look at the sky. Look at the tree. Look at all the things that I created for you." Now that's not the whole story, but that is part of a story that the Lord was showing the little boy. And he didn't have to be an Indian. He didn't have to be anybody really, because it could have happened to anybody that they couldn't see what they really had. And I think, and it really blesses me, that animals give you that power to see what you really have and enjoy. My little smashing from the time that the Lord, my daughter, bought her. My daughter, she was like us. We would buy the best. We would look at the breeds, we'd look at everything. And this was a breed that she had already had one dog out of, which was an Australian Shepherd and a poodle mix. And because they don't shed, that's why the poodle. But I didn't realize what smart dogs they are. So she had an Aussie poo, and they are so agile. And she only weighs about 10 pounds. You could see how little she is. And she's just been such a great blessing to my life. But the second I laid eyes on her, I knew in my heart that dog was mine. Now, this was 2 years before my daughter gave her to me, but I just knew it. I felt it. My husband had been saying, well, we can't get another dog. We're both getting too old. How are you going to take care of it, when you're not feeling well? Because I had just come out of open heart surgery and stuff. You're not feeling well. How are you going to get up and take it out? How are you going to do this? He says, and I don't want that whole responsibility on me because I'm getting older. Because in September, he'll be 86. So, but I knew. And I think before my daughter, I don't know how long, year, maybe two, I don't know, before she passed away, she came to the house and brought me that dog. I thought that was so wonderful. She just, out of the clear blue sky, brought that dog. And that dog did exactly what I told my husband it would do. When two people are older and they labor to get around and to do, which we don't do anymore like that, because having a bigger house and having a, a yard the way that we have it, it caused us to have to move. I mean, when you have a bigger home, you got to walk further to the kitchen, further to the bathroom, further. And where we lived was all cramped, and you didn't get very much walking. But in this house, you get a lot of walking. And so the nice thing about it is how the Lord had it so that we could move better. And we have not been near as weak as when we first came here. When I came here, I could barely step 3 steps of the bricks on the front porch. I had to hold on. I couldn't keep my balance. I couldn't anything. But now I can just go up and down with no problem. It's just amazing. And that little dog did exactly what I told Bob it would do. I said, it'll bring joy in our house. And laughter is good for you. And all the things that she does, we will laugh. And the thing that's so wonderful is I sit here sometimes and I feel so good inside because I could hear him talking to that dog and loving on her and them playing together. And that really blesses your heart. Because, if we had a house full of children, that would be a place of joy. If we had a house full of relatives, even, it would be a place of joy. Because whether or not those people believe like you or not, you put that aside and it's unimportant. You don't fight with that. You don't have to live a life where you constantly prove, even if they come at you with what they believe, leave them alone. I have found that when I am quiet, God speaks. I can remember telling somebody a long time ago that when I shut my mouth, you better be sure God's going to speak. And it works that way every time. Because when many times we get in God's way, many times we think we're doing the right thing. We just got to tell him, we just got to say this, and I just can't put up with that. Yes, you can. I could do all things through Christ who strengtheneth me. And the last thing I want to happen is for my husband to see me. I want him to see Jesus in me. And if I have my mouth going, he can't see anything but me. I heard an old saying a long time ago about a husband when you talk to him and you try to tell him something and you it's not even necessarily nagging him. Maybe you try to tell him something. A husband doesn't hear you. He hears the voice of perhaps his mother hollering at him and telling him he shouldn't do this and he shouldn't do that and maybe this. There are some women that need to learn how to graciously talk to their own spouses. There are some men that need to learn that. And when you're little, you don't learn uh, manners. You don't learn the nice things to say. There are people that get up in the morning and the first thing they do is say, "Good morning." And they get on the phone and they say, "Good morning" or "Good afternoon." And they do that. And that was never a habit with me because my mother could never teach me that. Being mentally ill, she could never sit down and teach me that. There was only times that she'd come in and out of it that she could teach anything. But I'll tell you what, she was one smart woman because my own daughter at the age of 5 could read a newspaper. She didn't understand those big long words, but boy, she could sound them out because she spent a little bit of time with grandma. But what I'm saying to you is I know of a woman that had this beautiful little black dog. And she kept it in a cage in the house. And she would holler at that dog, and that dog would run in that cage. Now you can imagine the terror that dog would feel when you yell at it, because their hearing is extreme. They hear it 10 times more than what you would hear it. And she would get upset and she would pick up something and tell it to get in the box. And if it didn't get it immediately, she would throw something at it. And I felt so bad for that dog because there was nothing I could do. It was her dog. But I always felt bad for that dog. At that time, I didn't have a dog. If I would have had a little black dog, I'd have never found the eyes. Because in my eye condition, I'm glad I got a white one because I could see the eyes. And I love to look into their eyes. Some of us are so blessed because we have a good relationship with our animals. I know of a woman, and I have mentioned it before, where she was so good to say a bird she picked up and saved its life. But to her own children, she was so cruel. And there are certain, she needed to learn that she needed to be far better to her child than she ever was to that little bird. Even though it was a wonderful thing that she did that. But there's certain things that you might as well not do. I know of a woman that was totally dedicated, did everything that she was supposed to do for the elderly. She worked very hard. And she even, on her lunch breaks, after working in a hospital, on her lunch breaks would come home and take care of her dad and have lunch with him. But she was so filled with hatred and resentment that she had to do that she would just curse and swear. And she was just always angry and mad and striking out at anybody who was around her. And that great work that she was able to do, that God called her to do, she might as well have not done it. Because what good was it when she had all of this awful stuff in her heart? Out of the mouth comes the abundance of the heart, comes out of the mouth. So there's many of you that have just come on to my videos and have no idea that I have taught for many years, many, many years. I mean, I'm 80 now. And I've taught for many years about the deceitfulness of the heart. And if any of you have listened to my other videos, it's filled with it. Because the heart is exceedingly wicked above all things. And it is why the imagination of the heart is what it says in the book of Genesis. Why God repented of making man. because the imagination of his heart was continually evil. He never stopped. That's what's happening today. And I've taught, there's people that have called me and they'll tell me different stuff. And when I have to, I've told them the truth. There was one woman in particular, I told her, she was saying how certain men were after her, a certain kind of men. And she says, "Oh, I rebuke them. I don't let them have it." And I said, she says, "But they like practically follow me around. Everywhere I go, I meet this kind of man." And she says, "And it's often." And I says, "Well, that would stop if you took that part of the imagination of your heart out and didn't listen to it anymore." I says, "Because it's hid inside your heart." I says, "Because what God is showing me that you do with it is you see them, you meet them, and you enjoy them paying attention to you. But you know it's wrong, and because you know it's wrong, you enjoy it, and then you rebuke it. That little space of time from here to here is the imagination of the heart, the deceitfulness of it. It lies to you, you've done what is right, but you draw it to you because it's in there. So everywhere you go, because you believe this kind of man will follow you, this kind of man will chase after you, you enjoy it because you say, "Well, I still got it. I'm a little bit older, but wow, they still like me." And they were all married men. When I told her that, nobody, and I don't care what anybody tells me, I know better. Nobody really likes to have to tell somebody the truth, especially when you know they are very well deceived and the deception runs deep. Nobody enjoys it. Telling the truth is not an easy thing to do. It takes God. Where the Bible says where liberty is, there is the Lord, where you see the boldness and the truth. That's because you have God down in the depth of your heart. You're able to do that. You can tell anybody anything because you overcome it. You don't talk about it for any other reason except you overcome it. So if somebody comes across my videos and they want to judge me, have at it. They want to think I'm where they're at. This is what a lot of people do, is they'll look at me and they'll listen to me and they'll want to preach to me and tell me because that's where they are at and they don't realize. I've been there and done that and had the victory over it a long time ago. There's many, many testimonies that I give all of you that I've had victory over. I don't give them to you because I need help. I don't give them to be because I need prayer. I don't give them to you because I'm feeling bad or sorrowful. I give them to you because I have victory over them. Like I said, this very close friend of mine said she found out quickly that if I come across the problem, as I would be speaking it to her, God would be solving it. And by the time we would get done talking, boom, it would be gone. Because that is how tight God and close God keeps me. He doesn't let me suffer and endure those things. He doesn't let me have those kinds of problems because I've got rid of self years ago, 30 some years ago, 35 or 40 years ago. I died to self and I've been living the victory ever since. So if I tell you something, and even when I tell you about the grief of my daughter, it is so that I can reach people who are grieving. It is so that I could help them find comfort that someone else is going through that. It's not because I don't believe that my daughter's in heaven. I know she is. God proved it to me. God has never failed me. And so it's not because I need prayer, and I've told this to people before. It's not it's not that I need prayer and I need you and I need so much. No, I don't. I've been alone for 40 years. I've been alone in places where I've just had nobody, not one person for 20 years. So I've been through a lot of things that you're just discovering right now. But this is why God made it for you to honor the elderly, the ancient, because their experience is worth its weight in gold. Many people contact me and tell me they love the wisdom. Well, that wisdom came from God, but it also came from experience and age. I had a young girl that enjoyed so much tormenting people, taking her kids in her high school and twisting up their minds, coming out just she was so smart, she just enjoyed taking your mind and twisting it and come out laughing that she could do that. And I told her, don't try it with me. There was a period of time where she really tried to hurt me with it, and she lost. She lost so completely that to this day, all the things that she tried to twist up my mind and twist up my life are now out of her life, gone. She could have had a good life. She could have been close, but she didn't want that. She would rather pretend she's something she's not. I don't say that to you because I hold anything against her. Because I'm praying that she repent of that she wake up and realize. For we go through things. I see my doggie behind me. We go through things for a reason. We go through things and the understanding of them for a reason. And it's always the reason is to help somebody else. If I share with you something, it's so that you can be helped to get out of it. So that's the only reason why I share it. I don't share it because I'm suffering. I don't share it because I just don't understand people not knowing that, especially if they listen to any of my other videos. What are you doing, Smashy? What you doing? What are you doing, sweetheart? It's time for her to get up. Come on. Come on. Can't you jump up? Oh, yeah. Come on. She's, she's afraid to jump up. That's okay. She's not very steady, I guess, in the morning. It's okay. She wants me to let her out for her daddy, her doggy daddy. When I tell you some things have happened, it could have happened 20 years ago, 30 years ago. I have so many testimonies in me that I give them to you as God brings them to my remembrance. I mean, it's unbelievable to some people. They think, and they've even said it. I don't see how one person can go through all the things that you went through. And it's very difficult for some of them to believe it. But I've got witnesses. One of them is my husband. He just laughs. When we go to a new doctor because we moved, and he has to fill out a paper because with my eyesight, I can't fill it out. And they have this long list. Did you ever have this, 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 this? And he has to check off I had lupus, I had cancer, I had this, I had that, a heart thing, all of it. I mean, he's going down the line and he's checking, and he knows he's checking a lot of stuff because it's really there. I've had it and it's gone, it's healed. And he's gone, And he goes, they must have a field day with you. Because he's my greatest witness that what I've gone through, because he's held my hand a lot in hospitals. So anybody could say anything they want, do anything they want. I've got witnesses that know the stuff that I've been through from the time I was little, and that everything I'm telling you is true. But that isn't what I wanted to talk to you about. As a matter of fact, most of the time when I come here, I don't even know what I'm going to talk to you about. That's why sometimes it comes out. I don't know what people expect from me. I'm not a scholar. I've told you that. I'm not here to preach and to teach a certain specific thing, a certain specific way. I wasn't geared like that. I wasn't made like that. I'm here to talk to you about the different things that I had been through with God and got victory over, and how God helped me through it, or the miracles that He has done to increase your faith, to bless you. And if you have questions on how to get closer to God, hey, you can get it here through experience. It's not the same as uh, as a scholar. A scholar sits and studies and studies and studies. I studied God. I studied God through experience. I spent hours upon hours upon hours in the presence of God for years in order to come to the place that I've come to. That's how I have what I have. That's how I got the wisdom, is spending time with Him, where I shunned everything. I wanted nothing else but God. And I was in a place that I could do that. Because even though I had a husband, there were times that he would, uh, work 18 hours a day. What was I going to do the whole day? You know. So anyway, now he doesn't have to work. I only pray that you understand there's a lot of things, like a woman wrote to me, a lot of things that she went through. You know those things, if you hold steady in your faith and you refuse to hate someone or get angry with somebody, or want to see revenge, or want to see, or you become bitter, or you want to see them pay, or you think, well, this is justice, they need to pay. A lot of times offenses don't require justice. What I'm talking about offenses is, we're human, and God says, woe unto those who cause offenses. He's talking about people who do that just to do that. But sometimes we don't intend to offend anybody, and we still do. Because we're human. We make mistakes. We have lack of understanding. We have some troubles. We have some problems. And if we're not forgiving to one another, it's because we don't love one another the way we're supposed to. We should love one another enough to care about each other. Like the one woman that sent in a prayer request, she said she's sick. Pray for her. Okay. Every one of you that read those comments can see that and pray for her. Every one of you that hear what I'm saying, you can see and understand that maybe that message wasn't completely for you or totally for you, but there are people out there that it is for, and those are the ones you pray for, that they get it. Bless them, Lord. Strengthen them. Let them get closer to God. And, if you're just there for yourself, what good are you to God? You can't be anywhere just for yourself. You have to be somewhere for somebody. And so we can't put our feet to where we have to go. We can't put our lives to where we have to go. We can only take our prayers to where we have to go. And that's why I say pray, pray, pray. Talking to God, like I said, some people just talk and talk and talk and talk and never listen to him. Talking to God is a communication. Communication is a back and forth. It is not a talk, talk, talk. Most people that talk to God are busy telling God all about the way they think, the way they feel, the way they want, the way they have, the way they do, the way this, the way that, for them, them, them. That's not what God's after. God is after you caring about others. That's what he's after. He's after you caring more for others. I said it about 35, 40 years ago. The Lord came to me and I was busy praying for my needs. And right in the middle of it, I'm over there sincerely praying with all my heart. And God just stopped me. And he looked at me and I could see him clearly. He said, Mary, you're praying about things that are important to you. They're your needs. And I have all of them. I know all of them. And they're in my hands. He says, so there's no need for you to pray for your needs. I need you to pray the way I want you to. I need you to pray for others, so pray this way. And then he began to lay upon my heart what he wanted. Because you see, as long as you have it upon your heart, what you want, what you think, what you believe, there is no room for him to come and tell you what he likes and what he wants. And some of you are so dense in it, so dense in the flesh. And I mean by dense, I mean it's so thick that it takes a while before he can get through to you. And you have to let him do that.